Hello, this is Beauty Investigates, and I'm Debbie McGee, and this is Debbie Arnold.
Oh, I'm so glad you told me. And I tell you, I can also tell you who this is. This is Dee Anderson. And next to her is Natalie Ogle, just in case they forgot who they were. And they are our investigators. Mm-hmm.
Indeed, and we've been investigating so many new and older beauty products to see what really works. So today it's very exciting because we're going to be talking about a new product, aren't we, Debbie?
Yes, we are. Well, it's been around for a while, but it's now become the thing. And they're called oh, Elaine, what are these things? Is it what's it?
You're talking about polynucleotides, so it is a bit of a mouthful, really. So polynucleotides are a new innovation in aesthetic medicine, but they sit under the umbrella of regenerative medicine. So they've been around for a long time, and there's a lot of science behind them.
So what makes this particular treatment, polynucleotides, different? Why is it different?
And what's the science behind it? You know, the research, is it something that's quite new, or has it been going on for a while?
So what this is comes from fish DNA. So there's a number of different...
Fish face?
Fish face, yeah. Yeah, it does bring itself lots of jokes. So it comes from fish DNA, and there's a first and second wave of this as well. So originally there was wild trout was used. Not trout, sorry, salmon, forgive me. We are going to get to trout plates. But so wild salmon were used, but there was found that there was a bit too much metals in the fish that they couldn't control. So they started, the company I use, which is Chroma, and Phil Art, they use farmed trouts. And so the farmed trouts live in a little trout hotel in Europe. And they extract the DNA from the trout, and we use that to ingest.
That's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you stumble upon this, Elaine?
Well, you know, I'm naturally curious and inquisitive and read all of the journals that are around, you know. So everyone started talking about it probably beginning of last year, so beginning of 2023. Mm-hmm. So it's obviously been happening a lot before that. Did some training with Chroma, did some research as well, so read about some different products, and I liked the science with Chroma, and started trying them, tested them on myself and on some of my patients, found some really good results. So you can use it in literally different parts of the body, so hair, eyes, face, and your whole body.
We've been taking cod liver oil and everything for years and years, and obviously fish oils are very good for us.
Yeah.
Is this
Yes, this is even better. It's purified, so you've got that. What it does is it gets your fibroblasts to work really well.
Your what?
Fibroblasts. So they're little cells in your body that are really, really helpful. They're like workhorses, so they work really, really hard in your skin, and they scavenge all the gunk that comes to you from like pollution and UV and things like this. So, and what's going on with the polynucleotides is that you're getting like hydration, collagen production, elastin production, and like skin rejuvenation. So it's a bit like an internal skincare. So it's, you know, you use your skincare on your face. Mm-hmm. This helps from the inside.
So Elaine, is it just sort of one formula that you use for everything?
And how do you apply it? I mean, is it by injection only?
Did you know that around 100 years ago, a little over 100 years ago in fact, the late 1800s, the syringe was invented, and that was the beginning of the era of facial injectables. Even back then, they were trying things out, injecting things like lanolin, beeswax, liquid paraffin. Some of these things caused untold damage to the skin and disfiguration. It's really scary, but it's also amazing to think that this was starting more than 100 years ago. Well, girls, what we will do for eternal youth.
You use like really little micro droplets of product. So it depends on the person, so it depends on their skin, it depends on their health, it depends on their sort of medical history as well. and you know, so you assess somebody's skin and then decide which of the 4 formulations to use. Obviously we wouldn't use hair on the face, especially not on a woman. That would be wrong.
So do you feel that, what results have you seen already from this treatment?
Under eyes, I'm seeing really great results, really great. And it does depend on your skin integrity. So under eyes are a really tricky area to treat, especially with injectables. So previously we would have used a dermal filler for under the eyes, but you can get like a lasting sort of, you know, the dermal filler sometimes shows through the skin because the skin's really fine there. With the polynucleotides, it's very fine, you know, small injections. And you can treat this upper eye area as well, which is really nice. And yeah, you might need sort of 2, 3, 4 treatments depending on the eye area. But you have fabulous results.
What's the downtime?
Fantastic.
How long does it take before?
So it's a bit tricky, this one. So especially under the eyes, and you're doing multiple injections. The polynucleotides are hosted or held within a little bit of saline fluid. So sometimes you can get under the eyes, you can get some puffiness and bruising, so it's always a risk. So we always check with people if they've got like filming going on or holidays, big events, things that are important, because you don't want to ruin that. And so we, in clinic, I always sort of map out when people's big events are that year, and then we time when the treatments are. So it would always depend, so I never guarantee that anyone's not going to get bruised, you know, because the last thing you want to do is promise no bruising, and then somebody gets a bruise.
So Debbie, you've had this treatment, injections.
Yes.
So could you just, you know, go out for dinner that night, or was there much downtime?
No, always, I think, with injectables, there's always quite a lot of downtime. But I think with this, I don't know, for some reason, I decided there wasn't going to be much downtime, and I was surprised about it. Normally, you know, I would never have thought, oh, there's not going to be any downtime. So it was quite, wasn't it, quite a few days. But I think that with any injectables that you have, or anything that you do to your face, even the laser treatments, you can't really go out, can you, for a few days? You know, you don't feel comfortable going out, because you've got to, if you think that you can have treatment like this and go out straight away, you've got to have some downtime. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I've never had any of the Botox or fillers or anything, but I had the lovely Neogen.
Yeah.
And certainly after it, interestingly, I think you have about 3 days of a gap before the skin, and your skin peels just the tiniest little bit, so there'll be an odd flake. But yeah, that takes probably 8 days or so to completely go.
And that's that one.
Yeah, and it's not like, oh yes, you're peeling your skin off your face. It's just, you know, if you had a suntan and then a few weeks later it's fading and you might just peel a little bit. It's not even as bad as that, but it's still definitely there.
It's still there. And with me, I mean, I don't bruise easily, but with the polynucleotides, because of the stuff, I said it. I said it because it goes in, and it was quite bumpy on my eyes, but then after, as you can see, after a few weeks, it's really good. But you know, if I'd have had to go filming the next day. So what treatment actually goes with nucleotides?
No, Debbie, I know you think you've got it. It's polynucleotides.
Oh, how did you know that so quickly?
I listen.
Yeah, thanks.
See, what we generally do is sort of get an idea of what your treatment goals are. So, you know, like, you know, what would you like to achieve, and what was the look that you wanted to have at the end of it all? You know, so some people come into clinic and it's quite easy to say, can I have some Botox? Because everybody knows about that. It's not always the right answer for everybody. So for some people, you know, their skin might not suit Botox, or their muscles might not be strong enough anymore. So it would depend on many number of like different factors, really. But products like dermal fillers, anti-wrinkle treatment, so that's the Botox. Profilo is another one.
So Profilo is one of those treatments that I've never had. Have you ever had Profilo?
No.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I mean, you must have heard about it.
I haven't, no, so I'm listening.
Yes, no, it is supposed to be a wonderful treatment, and I don't know why I've never ever had it. Apparently it's very good for your décolletage and stuff.
Oh.
So Profilo is a biostimulator, so it's been around in this country since, it was about 2017, it was introduced, I think. or thereabouts anyway. And it's a biostimulator.
And what does biostimulator mean?
So what it does is it works at a deeper cellular level. So when you inject it, you're working deep into them, to the skin cells, and stimulating 4 different types of collagen. And so it's like makes your skin cells more youthful. So then you've got like that glow. And they're talking about, like, they used to talk about the Profilo glow. And I think you have to think sort of beyond that glow now, you know, so you think about the mechanics of what the product's doing. So it's working at a much deeper level, stimulating your skin cells, stimulating the collagen, and then leaving, like, working on the skin laxity. So it really tightens your face.
And with
like hands.
You can do it on hands. Polynucleotides for hands is great as well.
Oh God. I'm really, really pleased with my hands. I mean, look. And I think that some of the, you see my pores? Some of the treatments, well, I mean, it's made a difference. Not that I've had any age spots, but it's made them plumper.
Oh, right. It has made a big difference, hasn't it?
Yeah. Actually, my son-in-law said that I have very young feet.
Well, I don't want to see feet, Debbie.
They're very nice.
Save them for your son-in-law then.
I have very nice feet, don't
My
I?
daughter says I've got hobbit feet.
Sort of furry with
No, little, you know, and sort of a bit square.
Just like your face, really. Anyway,
I love the way through all this that Debbie is nodding, and I'm thinking, Dee understands everything that Elaine is saying, and I'm going,
what
and
don't
thinking,
you understand?
I have no everything. I just want it done.
But I wonder, you know, with these
Nucleotides.
those things. I mean, what about our daughters? Would you recommend those for younger girls?
Not everybody is the same, so we're all, you know, pretty much similar, but our health backgrounds are going to be different, and our medical backgrounds, and then how we eat, how we exercise, how we sleep, how we manage our mind and our mental health. You know, all of these things are super important, and they all impact on our faces and our skin. You know, skin is the biggest organ of your body. And then if you think about stress, you know, like we live in quite a stressy world, that in itself is very bad on our skin. You know, because then you start worrying, and then you don't sleep, and maybe you overeat, or you don't eat, you overdrink, or do you know what I mean? So it really overdrink.
Yes, sorry, but I'm an overdrunk.
So Debbie, until I met you 2 or 3 years ago, you know, I would never even think of having any treatments, but let alone having things injected into my face, which I'm still scared of. But to you, what does it feel once you've had them? Can you feel that there's something inside your face?
Well, no. I mean, I'm very lucky because I haven't had many. Because I've got a big face. So I don't have fillers in my face, but I have had Botox and all of those things. But the thing is, with all of this stuff, you don't really know what it is. I mean, that's the problem, and that's why we're doing this show in the first place, is to inform everybody of what things work and what don't. And I think people don't understand. They think Botox is something that's a filler, and it isn't. It's a muscle relaxant. And so then you've got, you know, collagen fillers that are fillers. So, you know, you have your lips done, all of these things, and people don't know what it means or how it works. And sometimes until you've had it done, you don't actually see how it's worked until it's actually a few months later. So this program really is just telling everybody what works and what doesn't.
And it is really important because none of these treatments are cheap, and people are spending out fortunes and then getting something that doesn't work.
Exactly. So, you know, these treatments that we're having, and we're lucky to have, do work, but I do think my face might fall off if I keep having them.
I have to say, having said something about understanding and not understanding, having had a few things done with Elaine, you do have the most wonderful quality. I said this to you. I trust when you do explain things, and when I do understand it.
It's her Liverpool accent.
No, but she's very calming, and she's very clear, and she takes you through each stage, and that's really so you feel like you're in really good hands.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I think it's important also that, you know, that there are restrictions on all this.
Yes,
as you say,
absolutely.
medical restrictions.
The regulation bit is a really important discussion topic, really. So currently in the UK, literally anybody can inject your face. So I have a patient who's cleaner, Oh, the woman who owns the cleaning company who cleans our house, she's just trained and she can do anti-wrinkle treatments, a cleaner, yeah. So do you want us to clean your toilet or inject your face? Every doctor, every dentist and every nurse is responsible and accountable to a regulating body. So for me, it's the Nursing and Midwifery Council. And you can find me on there. If I do anything wrong to you, or you, or anybody, you can report me both to the police and to the Nursing and Midwifery Council. Now, I've been nursing for 37 years. So it's really important to me that I remain a nurse. And so I'm not going to do anything that jeopardises that. Whereas if I'm not accountable to anybody, so like the cleaner or a beautician, you know, I could do anything I like to your face if you trusted me enough. And I might make a mess of it, and you might report me or you might complain. But I might just think, well...
But there's no power. So to recap, it is absolutely vital that you go to a professional to do your treatments, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
They know if something goes wrong, they now know how to put it right. If you go to somebody who isn't qualified, they've learnt to do the treatment, but they haven't learnt to put anything right that might go wrong.
And that's where the aesthetic doctors and the aesthetic nurse, you know, these are the people that you need to go to, and Elaine is one of them. And you can find the list of these people, you know, online, so it's not difficult to do that. But please, we are thinking, you know, here at Beauty Investigates, that we will get a petition to the government, because something's got to happen soon, because this is a very dangerous thing that anyone can use these products and put them into anybody's faces. So please, for your own safety, please always use a professional.
Hello, welcome to Debbie's Do. Now, something I took years to get into actually is using a primer, but I can thoroughly recommend it, and it's something you really should do. So before putting your makeup foundation on, always after your moisturiser or whatever else you're using, put on a primer and let it settle for a couple of minutes, and you'll find that your foundation just goes smoothly over your face and looks loads better and stays on longer. So that's my Debbie Do of the day. Do.
Now we're talking about a new treatment that Debbie has had.
I have indeed. It's called Neogen, and it's a non-invasive treatment that makes my skin glow.
And it does glow.
And lots more.
Exactly. And we are now going to talk to the ambassador of Neogen, Dr. Chris Rennie.
Hiya. To give you a little bit of background, I run a medical practice. We do a lot of cosmetic medicine, injectables, all of the sort of stuff that you might know about. And for a number of years, we've been looking for something that would appeal to a large population of our patients. So to cover lots of different indications, but also to be used in people of older generations, younger generations. And we couldn't find anything, really. Plus, you want to look at things like the cost of the machine, the cost of the consumables to run the machine, but also, more importantly, the outcomes for patients and the downtime that patients would experience. And it's also really important for us as well to see clinical evidence behind whatever device we may or may not be buying. And Neogen was one of those ones that just ticked every single box. The thing with Neogen that is so sort of unique, I find especially, is that it has multiple different FDA or CE approvals. So it means that it's not just been approved for one indication, and like lots of companies will then say we're approved, but then they'll actually only be approved for one certain thing. Neogen is approved for somewhere in the region of 7 different indications, including things like lines and wrinkles on the face, but also not on the face, on the body or the hands. But it's also useful for things like scarring, pigmentation, pore refinement, skin tightening, tissue tightening. And what's really useful for us, because we have a medical practice where we have dermatologists and GPs as well, there are actually some clinical indications for it as well. Things like, I'll try and say it now without spitting, seborrheic keratosis and actinic keratosis, which are sunspots, sun lesions, sun damage, so can sometimes be precancerous. So Neogen can be used to eradicate or remove these as well. So it's a really useful device. It can be used for lots of different things. And the other thing that sort of is a bit of a unique selling point about Neogen is that we, as the provider, can control the amount of energy we use to be delivered, which in turn will control the amount of downtime or recovery that you or the consumer, the person having the treatment, will experience. So we can dial it right down to sort of low energy, in which case your downtime is very negligible. You'll have a couple of days of maybe just a little bit of dryness, and that's it. Right the way up to high energy, where in frankness it looks like you've been caught in a house fire or run over by a tank, and you might well want to be hibernating for 2 weeks and not see anybody. And you know, it's useful then that we can, you know, if people have got certain events or dates or deadlines, then we can dial it according. So yeah, for us it's something that hits all the bases, and we've had it now for over a year. I'm very fortunate to be an ambassador for Neogen. Another thing about Neogen that was very attractive, it's a UK-based company. So the technology's been around for a couple of decades, and the company are based in South Wales, big up Wales. So actually what's really nice is the team are brilliant. If you have any problems, you can literally pick up the phone and someone will help. The training is amazing. They've got a specialist educator called Tyrone who travels the country educating everybody on it. So yeah, for us it's been an absolute game changer.
And for me, I wanted to have it done because I had quite a few freckles on my face, and Neogen has just got rid of them completely.
Really?
You know, I wanted that smooth, lovely look,
Visage, which is what you have.
which I now have. Yeah, but that was all down to Neogen.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and 2 actually quite big age spots that were brownish, and I was always
Not age spots, surely.
well, brown spots. Which my dad had the same in the same place, and when he was in his 70s they turned to skin cancer and he had to have radiotherapy on his face, which wasn't very nice. So the fact that I got it in my 60s, I was thinking I don't want that to be a worry until I'm in my 70s, and will I have the same as dad? So, but it's, I mean, it was here and there's just nothing that shows now. Fantastic
Your
treatment.
skin looks amazing.
Thank you.
It can be used in sort of full face, for full face rejuvenation, and the thing with Neogen is it's described as affecting whole skin architecture. So it's not just working on the surface, it's actually getting down to a sort of cellular level as well. But what's also really good is not only just doing global face or global other areas, you can also be very focused. So quite often a lot of our patient demographic will talk about concerns regarding laxity or wrinkles or lines around the eyes, or particularly around the mouth, the so-called periorbital or perioral regions. And the good thing with Neogen is you can use the device specifically in those areas. It's designed to be used close to the eye or close to the mouth without there being any negative problems. And also, what often appeals to certain patients is that we're not using anything else. We're not adding anything else to you in the form of an injectable or a toxin or a filler or anything like that. We're using your own skin cells and your own tissue cells to regenerate themselves. We use heat energy to cause stimulation, a bit of trauma, to then get that regeneration and that regrowth. So that's for us why it's been really useful.
Can I ask
brilliant.
a question?
Of course, please.
I'm such a wimp.
Absolutely.
Does it
Me
hurt?
too, don't worry. It doesn't hurt me when I do it. No, I mean when I do it. It doesn't hurt me to do it on... No, sorry, that was really bad. It depends. If we're doing it at low energy, we can do it under simply just a little bit of topical anaesthetic cream, some that like maybe children would have if they're going for a blood test. So we can leave that on for 20 or 30 minutes, and that is certainly sufficient to make it not so tender. The higher up through the energy levels you go, potentially you might need something a little more. So at high energy levels, for instance, it's sometimes recommended you actually have anaesthetic injections into, you know, like your dentist would do when they're doing your teeth. But as I sort of mentioned, the high energy treatments, they do come with quite a lot of downtime, and it can be quite stark and scary for patients. So we know that we don't necessarily need to hit them with high energy too quickly. What we can actually do is do a few sessions of low or medium to get the equivalent level of change that you would with a high energy, but without all of the downtime and the sort of concerns. So yeah, quite often local anaesthetic cream is useful, and lots of our patients will describe it as if you've cooked a bacon sandwich or a sausage sandwich and you've got a little bit of fat spit that gets on the back of your hand, it's a little bit like that. So one of the things with Neogen after you've had the treatment is we want that heat energy not to be artificially stopped or ceased. So we sort of say after your treatment, you need to keep your face dry for a certain period of time, depending on what energy level you've had. And that includes no washing of your face, no moisturiser. So quite often patients will feed back and say, I just feel a bit sunburned. And towards the end, I felt a little bit almost itchy, like I wanted to just do something, like if you've had sunburn. But that is usually very short-lived, especially on the low energy. It's only normally just a couple of days. So you can go about your normal activities of life, you can go to work, you can pick your kids up from school.
So, you know, can you use Neogen in combination with other treatments? Are there any, like, sort of things you need to consider, like time frames and things?
I mean, what's really useful with Neogen is there's also, as much as I said there's CE and FDA sort of approved, there's also kind of off-license uses. And one of the off-license uses of Neogen is that there's been some sort of case studies that show you might get a little bit of increased absorption of other products or topical skincare, for instance. We know that the face is made up of multiple layers. A little bit like the layers of a trifle or a lasagna. There's not one single treatment modality that will treat every single layer. And so you have to take each layer individually. When it comes to the skin then, there's lots of different things that you can use to treat the skin. Things like skin care, medical grade skin care, things like polynucleotides, or we've spoken before about Profilo, but also things like device-based devices, medicine, things like Neogen and other types of devices, which all sort of try to achieve the same sort of thing. But as I said before, I've not seen a device so far that covers all of the indications and gives me, as a provider, the level of controllability that I have to accommodate every single patient.
Thank you so much for coming on today, and you've given so many people such good information about Neogen.
That's it. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Elaine. You have been the most fantastic, informative guest, hasn't she?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So come back and see us soon. We can have some cheese on our chests.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Elaine.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we will be back with more Beauty Investigates, so tune in again soon.